Hey everyone, Jason from Bohemia Bees. I'm in the shop today. I want to talk about my favorite piece of beekeeping equipment. I have a lot of things that I've tried in my last few years of beekeeping, but one of the pieces that I find that's so versatile that you put on a standard colony is your screen inner cover, and it can be used for so many different things. And I want to show you some of the things that I use it for, and maybe you can tend to as well. Some people like them, some people don't. But I find that they're very useful all the way through the whole season of beekeeping, even overwintering, and here's why. So with a standard colony of beekeeping, most people who use the Langstroth style, which is what I use, have your bottom board, your top cover, and a standard deep. Others, when they use different types of hive bodies, they'll have their supers that they'll put on during the honey collection period, the spring and the summer. You'll see them stacked up. Some will use double deeps. This is a standard deep. And then you'll see others that will put shims and such throughout, and even during the winter. I also have a technique during my wintering or overwintering where I put a quilt box on top, and I'll talk about that in a minute. The components that you see on my standard colony and what we will typically sell in a beekeeping package or a starter package here at Bohemia Apiary for anybody looking to get into beekeeping is what you see here in front of you, which is your bottom board, top cover, and your deep. And there's some other components that I recommend as well. But to get someone started, a 10-frame deep is really a nice starter package for someone who's getting a package of bees, or maybe they buy a nuke and they want to grow into it, or a nucleus colony and want to expand into a 10-frame. I really like the BeeSmart bottom boards and top covers. They're very easy to use. They have the screen bottom boards that have the Varroa tray that comes out the back. An easy truck for the Varroa mites. And the top cover is very lightweight. It helps allow you to keep that cover on all year round. Keeps it cool in the summer, and it keeps it warm in the winter. Allows good airflow to keep the bees, at a good constant temperature, which, constant temperature is important when you're looking at bees and helping them maintain the temperature within the colony. They also have these really cool ways that you can do the entrance reducers in the front. You can open it up completely, or you can actually make entrance reducers. You can close it off. You can close 1 or 3 open. You can flip them around and put mouse guards or reduce them down however you choose. I just like them a lot. Very, very versatile. That's what I prefer. But the one thing I wanted to talk about today, and my favorite piece of equipment in a colony or hive, is the screen inner cover. This, by far, in my opinion, is probably one of my favorite pieces of equipment, only because it allows you to use a piece of equipment all year round, in addition to just your standard Langstroth and your frames that will go into a colony. The reason why you can use it year round is because during the spring and summer months, you have it on your colony. It allows for if you have a notch in the front, another entrance. So if you need a different entrance, and if you have for your bees to come out, it allows, if you have supers on, you can allow it to be on top of the supers to have another entrance for additional quick nectar flow above. If you have a queen excluder between your supers and your deep, it allows for quicker entrance and exit for your foraging bees. It allows for that another airflow as well for if they're trying to cool and trying to reduce the moisture within the supers. It allows for that. It's just a nice way to create that. It also is really nice because if you have this on and you have your top cover and you're walking along and you're just taking quick peeks at your hive and you don't want to necessarily disturb the whole colony and have them, popping out, you can lift that lid off a little bit, and your bees are right below that screen. So there's a wire mesh or hardware cloth that's in that screen inner cover. You can really just see, the volume of bees that are in there underneath that screen. Now they're going to propolis this up. If they don't want it open, they're going to absolutely do that. And that's also a really good sign of how the strength of your colony is, right? And where they're at within the stage of that growth of that colony. So, towards the later part of summer, your colony will start to move away from necessarily building honey stores and start to move into building propolis and making sure that the actual hive is secure and sealed up for winter months. So if they're starting to build a ton of propolis on the surface of that screen, you know that they're at that stage where you got some mature bees in there, and that's what your foragers are focusing on, is propolis and sealing that hive up for winter. And that's another indication, besides weight of the hive, that you've got a good strong colony here, is propolis, right? So you want to see a lot of propolis being built up on that screen. It's easy to scrape off. You can just take your hive tool and scrape it right off, flip both sides and it'll pull right off, or even you can torch it off too if you need to. But I really like that a lot. One of the other fun things that I like to do with these screen intercovers in the wintertime, a lot of times I like to build out my colonies so that I put a shim of sugar right on top of the frames. This is something that my mentor has taught me, that you put a piece of paper right on top of the frames, you put your sugar down, the mountain camp kind of method, pour dry sugar. It helps draw the moisture out of the hive as the cluster sits and moves through the frame through the winter. But one of the things that also I like to do is put a quilt box. You can make a quilt box, you can buy a quilt box. One of the things that here's a Dandit & Sons style quilt box you see here. These are fairly expensive. These are about 40 bucks a piece, and it's really just a super that has a screen on the bottom of it, okay? And it fills with pine shavings, and you set that on top of a shim right on your colony, and then you're going to put your top cover on top. And then I typically wrap my hives. And you can see in the diagram here, this is the diagram that I typically use, or this is the setup that I typically use. I've shown in prior videos of how I get my hives ready for the winter. And it's worked for me in prior years, it's worked for me this year. So this is typically the setup that I use. But the cool thing is what if you don't want to spend 40 bucks if you have 10, 15, 20, 30 hives? That's pretty expensive to spend on just a quilt box. So one of the things, again, you can use for this screen intercover is you can make your own quilt box. You can actually take and do the same exact thing. You don't need to spend 40 bucks on a quilt box. You can actually take an empty shallow or an empty super. Say this is an empty super that you would use that you're not having frames in it. You could flip it over, take that same exact inner screen intercover, make sure you can flip it over so that the notch is on the bottom, okay? And then you just take some tape. Now I would run tape along the seal of this, or the seam of it all the way, but just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to put a few pieces on here just to show you what I mean. You're going to take masking tape, really, and run it along this whole thing. Or duct tape, not masking tape. Take duct tape. I'm just going to put 2 pieces to hold it. But now your screen intercover becomes a box. You fill that with shavings, pine shavings, now you've got a quilt box. Set that right on top of your colony, and you got the same concept. Fill that with pine shavings, and now you got a quilt box. And you can double purpose that screen intercover. That way, if you're wanting to save on equipment and repurpose it, you can. Again, you have that ability. And then come close to the springtime, you can come out here and pull that little bit of that tape off. Now you can start to give them a top entrance. Maybe there's some heavy snow and it's blocking your front entrance. You got another little entrance for them to open it up or close it off. Just make sure when you tape this, the top of the screen, that you tape it to the actual screen, and then you leave another little space to open that little notch up, open and close. Or you leave it open, whatever you choose if you want additional airflow. Because it doesn't have the little top screen holes like a traditional Dandit & Son screen intercover quilt box has. Again, that's just another technique or a little hack that we have here at Bohemia Apiary of how you can multi-purpose your equipment. Another way to show you how we use different pieces here. Hope it was helpful for you. If you like what you see, make sure you comment below on things that you've used in the past. Hopefully you find it informative. Share with your friends, subscribe to the channel, and come back and watch us as we continue to learn how we do different things here at the apiary here in the Eastern Shore of Maryland, and follow our adventures. Thanks for watching.